Judge Evelyn Rhodes sat quietly in her first-class seat, her tailored navy blazer pressed neatly, gray hair tied back with purpose. The folder on her lap held the final notes for a keynote speech on dignity and equal treatment principles she lived by. No one around her, however, seemed to recognize her. She was just another passenger in 2B. She pressed the call button gently. The morning rush had left her throat dry and she hadn't had the chance to grab water at the terminal. When the flight attendant arrived, her name tag read Marla Jennings. In her late 40s, with immaculate blonde curls and a smile that never reached her eyes, Marla didn't offer a greeting. She stood waiting for Evelyn to explain herself. "Could I please have a bottle of water?" Evelyn asked, her voice soft but clear. Marla folded her arms. "Water service hasn't started yet." Evelyn gave a polite nod. "I understand. It's just my throat is quite dry. If it's not too much trouble." Marla interrupted, louder than necessary. "I said we haven't started yet. You'll have to wait until we finish boarding and reach cruising altitude." Heads turned. Evelyn held her calm, but the man seated next to her suddenly found his book very interesting. She hadn't meant to create tension. Her request had been simple, but the refusal had been loud, deliberate, and public. Evelyn didn't argue. She reached into her handbag, retrieved her phone, and sent a brief message to her assistant, "Denied water in first class. No reason given. Feels intentional. Please alert Thomas." Thomas Langston, the CEO of the airline, wasn't just a colleague. He was a friend who respected Evelyn deeply beyond her title as a federal judge. She knew she didn't need to escalate the situation with anger. One message was enough. The wheels were now in motion. As boarding continued, Marla moved through the cabin, greeting other passengers warmly, helping them with bags, flashing courteous smiles. She didn't look back at Evelyn once. In the galley, Marla vented to a younger flight attendant, Emily Carter. "Some people think the world owes them something," Marla said, referencing the woman in 2B already demanding water like she's royalty. "Did she ask politely?" Emily asked cautiously. Marla scoffed. "It's not about how she asked. It's the attitude. You can always tell." Emily frowned but said nothing. Back in her seat, Evelyn's phone buzzed. It was Thomas. "What happened? Tell me everything." "Flight number." Evelyn responded quickly, detailing the interaction. Thomas replied shortly after, "Thank you. Sit tight. I'll handle it." 20 minutes into the flight, drink service began. Marla approached Evelyn's row, her smile thinner now. "Would you like something to drink?" she asked, avoiding eye contact. The cart was stocked with water bottles. "Still no water?" Evelyn asked calmly. Marla cleared her throat and hastily placed a bottle on Evelyn's tray before moving on. But the damage was done. In the cockpit, the captain received an unexpected call. The airline's secure video line lit up with Thomas Langston's face. "Marla Jennings," Thomas said flatly. "Explain the issue with passenger 2B. She asked for water before service began. I told her she needed to wait." "That's standard procedure," Marla answered defensively. "Is it standard to raise your voice at a passenger for asking for water?" Thomas's tone was sharp. "I didn't mean," Marla stammered. "That passenger," Thomas cut in, "is Judge Evelyn Rhodes, a keynote speaker and respected federal judge. She deserved basic courtesy, not public humiliation. You will apologize clearly, publicly, and without excuses. When you land, you will report directly to my office." The video call ended. Marla stood frozen, her controls slipping for the first time in years. When Marla returned to first class, her steps were stiff, her face pale. She stopped by Evelyn's seat, struggling to maintain composure. "Judge Rhodes," she began, voice softer than before. "I want to apologize for earlier. I misjudged the situation and handled it poorly. I'm sorry if I caused you any discomfort." Evelyn lifted her gaze, eyes steady. "You didn't misjudge the situation. You misjudged me. I asked for water. You made a decision about who I was based on what you thought I should be." Passengers leaned in subtly to listen. The man across the aisle lowered his tablet, fully engaged now. "I'm not interested in rehearsed lines," Evelyn continued. "What you did wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a choice." Marla flinched. Evelyn took a sip of her water and said, "You can go now." Marla turned and walked back to the galley, burning with shame. Meanwhile, Thomas had alerted senior management and ground security. The captain received instructions: prioritize disembarkation for 2B, prepare for executive arrival at the gate. As the plane descended, the tension in first class was palpable. Passengers sat stiffly, their stolen glances betraying discomfort. The crew avoided eye contact with Evelyn. Marla stayed hidden in the galley, pretending to organize supplies she'd already organized twice. Upon landing, ground staff cleared the aisle for Evelyn. 2 uniformed crew members stood by as she rose, adjusted her blazer, and stepped off the plane unhurried, composed. At the gate, Thomas Langston waited. His posture was formal, but his respect was clear. "Welcome home," he said softly as he greeted Evelyn. Behind them, Marla was escorted off the plane by senior management and security. This wasn't going to be a quiet internal review. Consequences were already underway. The airline initiated a full investigation into first-class service complaints over the past 2 years. New policies were drafted. Ethics training was overhauled, focusing not just on customer service but on addressing unconscious bias and assumptions. Marla's disciplinary hearing arrived swiftly. She faced the review board without excuses. For the first time, she spoke honestly about her actions and the biases that had guided them. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. But she admitted the truth. "I failed," she said quietly. "Not because of a mistake, but because of a mindset I never questioned." The board didn't offer a decision immediately, but Marla knew the outcome. Her career with the airline was over. Weeks passed. Evelyn returned to her courtroom, her work, her life. But the story didn't fade. Headlines recounted the incident, not as scandal but as a lesson. Universities requested her keynote speech for ethics classes. Airline industry leaders discussed the case as a turning point. One morning, a letter arrived at Evelyn's home. No return address. Handwritten. From Marla Jennings. "You didn't need me to serve you water. You needed me to see you. And I didn't. I failed you and I failed myself. I begin again. I hope that matters, even if it's too late to matter to you." Evelyn placed the letter in a folder marked Personal Correspondence alongside only a few others that had earned such a place. Months later, Marla appeared at an airline training session not as crew, but as a guest speaker in the ethics mentorship program. She stood before new hires and spoke plainly about the flight that ended her career. She didn't justify. She didn't blame. She taught. Fairness isn't about following policy, she told them. Evelyn, meanwhile, kept showing up in courtrooms, at symposiums, and in quiet conversations where real change begins. She never sought applause. She never wanted to be a symbol. But her presence, her refusal to be invisible, left a mark far deeper than any speech could. The incident on Flight 747 wasn't about water. It was about dignity, about choice, about the power of stillness and the ripple of consequences that follow when someone chooses to be seen and refuses to look away.